The 12th season of Consider This is brought to you in part by From the Top, a national program showcasing the musical talents of young people. From the Top can be heard on KVNO Classical 90.7 each Saturday at 6 p.m.
Consider This, a program of issues and information behind today's news. Once again, from the campus of the University of Nebraska at Omaha, here is your host, Kathy Wyatt.
This may look like just another map to you and me. However, it could be the start of something big in Nebraska. Hi everyone, I'm Kathy Wyatt. Welcome to this week's edition of Consider This. Our topic, a place called Witherby Village. Joining us to talk more about it are Nancy Intermill, Executive Director, Diane Rolfsmeyer, Board President, and Robbie Nathan. Robbie is with Care Consultants for the Aging, one of the neighborhood's vendors. Thank you all so much for joining us and welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nancy, we'll start with you.
Okay.
Just what is Witherby Village?
Witherby Village is what I like to refer to as an intentional community or a virtual community. We have charted out an area within Midtown Lincoln, which includes about 5,000 households. And what we do is we offer services for people so they can thrive in their own homes. So we hook people up with services, we help them secure their services, and we do that in a couple of different ways. In one case, we may be offering services through our volunteers. In another case, we may be, in fact, using vendors such as Robbie to provide services. And this is a concept that started in Boston, in Beacon Hill Village about 2001, and it's now being replicated all over the country.
Okay, and by all over the country, what other places are we seeing these things from?
You know, Chicago has a couple of villages. Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill has a very strong community. California, there are several in the San Francisco Bay Area, but none within our immediate Midwest area. Probably the closest one is Indianapolis.
What is the driving force behind this? What's the real objective for it?
Well, the real objective is that people can stay in their own homes as long as they want to. And that is absolutely the driving force. It's so much less expensive. And of course, people much prefer to be in their own homes rather than necessarily moving to an institution or even another community, retirement community. Some people enjoy retirement communities, but that's not for everyone. So if you would rather stay in your own home, we're going to do everything we can to help you do that.
Okay, I'm going to back up just a minute. You're referencing we. Who are the players in all of this?
Well, in our case, this is a group of citizens within our community who came forward and said, this is something that we want to do. We were told about the concept and people said, this is a great idea, let's go for it. And that basically is it. And we have contact with the people at Beacon Hill Village in Boston. They have produced a manual and they're very generous in helping other communities start these up. Much in the same way that we encourage neighbors to help neighbors with the project. This is Village Helping Village, and that's how it works.
Okay, and how do you, regardless of the size of the town or city with which you're working, how do you pick the ideal location? These are already established areas. So what is it that you're looking for to ensure the success of a concept like this one?
I think what you're really looking for is a group of people who are committed in making it happen. In terms of the physical layout, there's nothing magic about that. That's just a matter of picking about 5,000 households because we're told that about 300 to 500 households is kind of the optimal size for a village, and that 10% of the people who live in an area probably will sign up. So we just simply looked at the area in which we are and we came up with kind of some natural boundaries. People would recognize O Street in Lincoln as being a natural boundary, for instance, and said, okay, this is the middle of town, this is the area we want to serve, and that's what we picked.
Okay. And Diane, she makes it sound like it was all just so easy to arrive at where you are today. Talk to us as the board president for all of this about really what's involved with going out and effectively communicating a message like this one to a neighborhood that's already been established. They're kind of set in their ways in some regard. How do you get out there and communicate that with them, knowing that there's an objective that you really do want to meet at the end of the day?
Well, the interesting part about this concept is there seems to be a groundswell It's a very easy conversation topic to engender with just about anyone. And it wasn't so much of a process of looking at a neighborhood. Our boundaries actually embrace 4 different neighborhood associations. So it isn't a neighborhood so much as it is community understanding. Nancy and I in particular, as president and ED, executive director, went out and spent a lot of time with elected officials, with organizational leadership, and talked to a variety of neighborhood associations outside our boundaries, and proceeded to educate the community on the concept. And it was resonating everywhere. Nebraska is one of the older states demographically in the United States. We have quite a large body of individuals who are looking at alternatives to where they are currently living and not particularly happy with many of the options. Also, this is a group of people whose relatives, children, are gone. They live someplace else. And a couple of generations ago, for both sides of the spectrums, for young people starting out in a home and also for the older generation, you could have contact with a relative within 20 miles. That experience is behind us. And so what we are trying to create is to recreate that sense of family. So we have the one phone call to our executive director, which is going to constitute the call to either mom and dad, hey, I'm thinking about buying this house in this neighborhood, could you give me some ideas of what I should look for? Or, you know, I'm due any day now and I would like somebody to come and help me cook before the baby's born, or my house needs some repairs and I don't know how to approach this, or I don't know what I qualify for, or I am fearful of just going through the yellow pages. Can you help me? Those are all kinds of efforts to attain assistance that we often go to family for. And so we're replacing that.
Okay, and interestingly, you say town hall meetings. My question is twofold. What kind of turnout did you get for those? And what were some of the most commonly asked questions to this particular concept?
Interestingly, we had good response to the town hall meetings. It was interesting for me as the president of the board to come to realize that people were not really sure what the difference was, for example, between a village, a neighborhood association, perhaps a housing association, homeowners association. What were those differences? We actually created a document that kind of listed what kinds of services you get from each of those entities. And the village is different. For one thing, it is a living entity. It is member driven, and therefore the requests for services are all determined by the membership. Over time, the demographics of the membership may change. Their needs may change, and that is going to be reflected in the services that we offer.
Okay, and Nancy, there are core services that are being provided through vendors such as Robbie, and we'll get to you in just a minute. I do want to talk, though, about those core services so that people who are watching understand really what this is all about, and then we'll go into more of the vendor aspects in just a few minutes. So if you want to walk us through the core services.
Sure. Probably the service that's most frequently requested in across the country is the local transportation. And since we just don't have good public transportation, that's a tough one for people. So that's frequently requested. Basic home maintenance things are things that I refer to as honeydews. Something as simple as changing a light bulb that's up high for someone who's older and not sure of being on their feet, and getting up on a ladder can be a very dangerous thing for them to do. So we'd much rather have an opportunity to come in and help them with that. It might be something as simple as changing a clock after the daylight savings has ended, or something like that. Another is grocery shopping, and people find that not only does that save them time, it saves them money because they're not going to be tempted by those impulse buys as they go to the end of the counter. We will certainly have social activities and wellness activities. We want people to be engaged in the community. We want them to have an opportunity to be with their neighbors and to have some fun. So we will do things like picnics and block parties, and we might even take people out to the Lead Center for an event. We'll be doing a lot of different kinds of things. We'll also have programs related to different services and issues that they might be concerned about. And then finally, some financial consultation in that, particularly for the older members, they might qualify for the Homestead Exemption Act. That would be something we want to tell them about because that will put some cash back in their pockets. It may be simply just having an investors group and having some neighbors across the area say, you know, I want to do a stock market portfolio, let's do it together.
Okay, and let's talk about those vendors then with whom you're talking to get all of this going.
Sure.
I look at that list, and the first thing that comes to mind for me is non-medical home care, which is something that is obviously up and coming and happening all across the country as well. Will you be seeking then, you know, some of the non-medical home care providers for some of these services, and how is it that you drafted the list and were able then to move forward accordingly to meet all of those needs that you just described?
Sure, yeah, we definitely will be doing that. And I should also say that we will not only be serving elderly people, we will be serving all ages, but certainly the people that have some medical needs. We have had contact with a variety of different vendors in the area. We're getting, for all of our vendors, we're simply getting recommendations from our members and from our board members saying, you know, this is someone that I've used or my mother used and we had really good luck with them. And so those are the folks that we're approaching. It really, the word of mouth is very important in a village.
Which obviously puts Care Consultants for the Aging in a very nice light, Robbie, if they are being that selective and it's all based on kind of word of mouth. So talk to us about how you and your organization became involved with all of this.
Well, how did we become involved? Well, we've always, ever since the beginning, been involved in community activities and community education especially, because it's our mission to have people be independent and age in place, and also to have the option to choose and make educated decisions. And so Nancy and I have been on several projects before, and Diane is part of my history too. But we got to talking, and I made some inquiries, and my grandmother actually lived in Witherby when she was alive, so that really piqued my interest. And I got a hold of Nancy, and we talked, and we are just delighted to be part of this.
Okay, and tell us a little bit about it from a vendor's perspective, because there may be some folks who are watching thinking, hey, that's kind of a cool concept, and I live in that area, I work in that area. So talk to us a little bit about the process. You know, would they pick up the phone? Would they call Nancy? How does all of this work?
Well, it all starts with a question, and that can either be one-on-one or a phone call. And then Nancy would say, you know, Care Consultants may be able to help you, whether it's non-medical or medical. We've known them, they have a good reputation. And Nancy would get a hold of me, and then I would contact the family or a representative from Care Consultants, go out and meet with them and help them decide what's their best option for staying at home.
Okay, and I was going to make sure that we let folks know what it was that your mission, what you are out to do. So state that mission one more time for us and just give us in a nutshell what we need to know about Care Consultants for the Aging.
Okay, our mission is to help families and their loved ones stay independently in their home for as long as possible, and also, in a nutshell, to educate the community that there are resources out there. We're one of them, and I would like to say the best one, but that's a little prejudicial. And people do have these choices. They can reach out. We can all help each other, and we want to be part of that by being with the Witherby Village.
Oh, what a great concept. And so Nancy, they're one vendor. How many do you have confirmed at this point, and what are you still looking for?
Oh boy, well, in part we don't know because we are member driven, and so our members will let us know what they need. So I don't mean to be glib about that, but we will respond to what people ask for and need. We have about 15 vendors so far, and what we also need to mention is that we vet all of our vendors and our volunteers as well. So what that means is that if you've called me and you have a need and I go ahead and set something up for you, what you can be happy to know is that this person has been checked out. Either if it's a formal vendor, then we've made sure that their insurance is current and we've made sure that they're licensed as they should be. If it's someone who is a volunteer, we will actually do a background check on that person. This isn't to guarantee that somebody coming to your house you'll have a bad experience, but you can be pretty confident that that's not going to happen because we will have looked through and culled out those people that we think are really going to be successful.
Okay, and is it going to be set up in such a way that you're just going to have one type of business per service?
We'll have several.
And how do people then, for example, we have 3 particular handyman services who all want to step up and help, but maybe you're only, because of the membership, you're only going to need one. How do you select? Is there an interview process, or what are you going to do to pick the best one to serve you?
There's not an interview process. Actually, vendors will be able to go online and make an application. But one of the things we will do is make a follow-up call to every single person who's asked for assistance. And when we make that follow-up call, we're not asking them to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how did you like the service? I want to hear the story. And so I'm going to ask them, how satisfied were you with that service? When I get the story, then I'm going to know who are the vendors that I want to continue using and who are the ones that I don't.
Excellent. Diane, talk to us about this membership drive. Where are you right now as far as how many people are really interested in all of this? And then we'll go into more specifics about the membership itself and what all of that entails. But how many residents, first of all, how many people are living in the village total? And of those, how many have stepped forward to say, we're in for right now?
The village boundaries encompass approximately 5,000 households, and our membership fees are by household, not by individual. So I really couldn't tell you what the population is within our boundaries. I think we have that information, but I think we're more focused on household service than we are on individuals. We're having a soft launch on July 20th, which is days away. We're very, very aware that we need to be cognizant of what our members are going to be asking of us. And so our effort as a board is to make the soft launch rather small. We want to work out all the kinks and make sure that when we say to someone we are going to deliver this service, we are going to follow up on it, that we do it more than adequately, but very, very well. It's a process. We're going to grow with it. We're expecting to have, or we're hoping to have, approximately 100 members by the end of our first year. And the history of the village concept tells us that between 3 and 5 years, we're going to have between 300 and 500 members.
Okay, and the cost of a membership?
Is $480 for a year. It is a yearly membership. It can be paid on a monthly basis.
Okay, and with that membership, someone receives what?
The glorious ability to put a phone number on their refrigerator, and if they have any question, any need, they can call it. And the person they get is Nancy. And they don't even have to fully understand what it is they need. They can call Nancy and say, I have this issue and I don't know quite what to do about it, and this is what it is. And Nancy will help problem solve with them and help them assess the kinds of services they may or may not need, whether it applies to a volunteer just coming out and helping them out a little bit, or whether they really need a vendor service.
Okay, and to play devil's advocate just a little bit, there might be somebody out there watching thinking, I know who I need to provide services for me, so I don't want to pay the $480 a year for that because I pretty much have what I need right here at my fingertips. What would your argument, for lack of a better term, be to that individual to say, no, you really need this membership and here's why?
Well, here is why. The issue is we have no age criteria with a membership. And so I think what people are going to find that most valuable in this membership fee is for younger people They're going to have ready, quick access to maybe emergency babysitting. If you have a child that's just fallen down and broken their leg and you have 3 children sleeping in the house, a phone call can be made, a volunteer can be there, and mom or dad can take care of the crisis without having a problem with the rest of the family. A first-time home buyer can come into this village area and we will provide information for them. We are hoping to have first-time home buyer classes available for them for financing and the things to look at in a home as you're purchasing them. Also, as you go through the age, the chronological age and the services, the number one thing, we had a survey, I should back up, we had a survey done within the residential area that we are serving, and 73% of the respondents said their biggest concern was home maintenance. And we are going to look at that, and the promise that we have is the vetting promise. You're not having to flip through yellow pages and guessing, well, I think this sounds good, or this is the big ad, or this is the little ad, and have a bias towards maybe that'll help and maybe that'll not. The vetting process by itself in younger people that I've talked to within the area, that's worth the membership all by itself. Especially younger homeowners who are trying to do it themselves and trying to figure out how this all works. Vetting the vendors is a big key. The other part to this is all of us who've lived in neighborhoods for a long time, and I've lived in my house since 1983, so I've been there a while. I know my neighbors, and when things come up, I know who I can call and ask for help. If you're suddenly involved in something that is health-oriented and chronic, for example, or you just need more help, there's a point in time where you start feeling guilty about continuing to call this neighbor or this friend. A membership in Witherby Village removes the guilt. Both ways, as volunteers and receivers of services. You've paid your membership fee. You have the right to call Nancy and ask for continued help, whether it goes for 6 months, a year, it doesn't matter. As a volunteer, because I also take care of some neighbors who need a little help, but I go on vacation. Believe it or not, I have guilt when I leave town about who's going to take care of that, who's going to watch that. And my example is I walk 5 miles a day, and there was a couple quite a distance from me who could not maneuver their trash can up and down a set of stairs. So every morning when the trash would come, I would make sure that trash can was down, and then I'd make sure it was back up in the back end swing of that walk. When I go on vacation, I literally would sit there and think, who's going to take care of Helen's trash can? I can leave now because I know that they're going to be taken care of.
And Nancy, what if for some reason you are unable to provide a service for someone who's requested it, who's signed on to be a member? What's your plan B for that? Because as well intended as we all are, there's going to be that circumstance.
Sure.
And so your fallback plan is
to work with the social agencies in town that are also providing services. And I should mention that we really have no intention of duplicating anything that anyone already is doing. We really see ourselves extending the services that social agencies play. We know that there's going to be more and more of a burden on social services as the baby boomers get older. And so we try to take some of the pressure off the front end from people who are just beginning to need services. At some point, if it looks like people are calling daily and needing help, we will be turning to the Area Agency on Aging, for instance, to help us out by going in and assessing, is there more service that they need and how can they provide it?
very good. And Robbie, as one of the vendors for this program, Care Consultants has been around for a while. What do you see that is different about this? What drew you into this whole circle, for lack of a better term? Big benefit for you guys. What are you seeing that's such a big plus here?
As a plus for our business?
As a plus from where you sit, yes.
Well, as I stated earlier, our mission is to educate the community. And we just see this as more of an opportunity to build on our good reputation, because we did start in '91. We've been in Lincoln for 11 years, and so we kind of know the lay of the land, but there's always new stories, there are always new people who need help. And we want to be a part of that. And we want to be someone that the community looks to for answers and for a definite hand when they need it. And that would be really our purpose. And we truly feel honored to be a part of this because it's such a forward-thinking concept. And there's more than one way to skin a cat, and there's more than one way to help a family in need, and to just be a part of that.
Okay, thank you. And Nancy, as a nonprofit, you're going to be looking to folks for funding opportunities,
We are.
I would imagine. What types of things will you be needing or requesting here initially as things get underway?
Well, we're certainly our membership fees help with part of our budget, and they pay about 45% of our budget. We will be seeking donations from individuals and from corporations that are able to help us out. And then finally, we'll be turning towards grant funds to supplement our budget as well.
Okay, and Diane, counting a lot on the board of directors, I would imagine, to really help get this thing done in a limited amount of time that we have. Who are these people? I mean, what is it that you're looking for from them?
Our board members live within the Witherby Village boundaries. They expect to be members. They expect to be volunteers. They're a working board, and so they look like us, and they range in age from very, very young father of 2 children to retired individuals. And they can see and grasp the vision of the concept, and they've embraced it. They want to see it work.
Excellent.
I want to see it work.
I would imagine, yes, as does everyone. So in a few moments here, what do you hope to achieve here in the next 30, 60 days, Nancy?
Oh, I think we'll be working hard with the vendors to find more and more who are willing to sign on with us. One of the things that we talk to vendors about is the possibility of getting a discounted service for our members, and so we'll be doing that. We'll be talking to organizations, letting them know about the concept and inviting people to join.
Wonderful, and we want to put up some information for folks so that if they need more, they can get more, so we'll put a graphic up for that right now. For more information, it's witherbyvillage.com, 402-304-8757. Ladies, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having
Appreciate
us.
it very much. And thanks to you for watching. We'll see you next week.
Consider This is an issues and information program produced by UNO Television. More information and program archives can be found at unotv.unomaha.edu. If you'd like to share your comments about this show, call UNO TV at 402-554-2516 during regular business hours.
The 12th season of Consider This is brought to you in part by From the Top, a national program showcasing the musical talents of young people. From the Top can be heard on KVNO Classical 90.7 each Saturday at 6 p.m.